I'm Joshua Bardwell, and you're going to learn something today. Today we're talking about one of those super cool, awesome new features of Betaflight 3.3 that some of you were a little bit annoyed that I didn't include in my ultimate Betaflight setup guide. Well, here it is. Today we're talking about vTX low power disarm. And what this feature does is when your quadcopter is disarmed, it turns your video transmitter down to 25 milliwatts. And when your quadcopter is armed, it turns the video transmitter up to whatever your normal transmit power is. And this is, well, if you're a racer who just runs at 25 milliwatts all the time, then you're not going to really notice any difference. But especially if you're a freestyle pilot or you fly at higher transmit powers, like I have a quadcopter with a TBS Unify on it, and that thing can go up to 800 milliwatts. But at 800 milliwatts, you need the props to be blowing air over the video transmitter or it overheats. Doesn't hurt anything. It just kind of goes into high temperature shutdown and your video signal goes away. And then you spin the props, it cools down, it comes back, life goes on. But it's not a good thing. And I always feel rushed when I plug my battery in. I got to get in the air before the transmitter overheats. Well, vTX low power disarm solves that problem. The quadcopter stays at 25 milliwatts until you arm, and then it turns up to the power that you want. Let's take a look at that in action over on the bench. Here I'm using the Immersion RC RF power meter to measure the output power, and you may be surprised to see an output power at 109 milliwatts instead of 25 milliwatts. That's just because the load resistor that's used is not calibrated. It's really 25 milliwatts. I'm going to arm, and I want you to watch the output power and watch the video after I arm. If in a few seconds you'll see the power jump up, and the video will, well, you'll see. The video actually glitches. So you're going to want to test this with your video transmitter to see if and how much the video glitches when the power goes up and how long it takes the power to go up after you arm. Here I've disarmed. It's going to go back down. How long it takes after you arm, because you don't want to be flying and have it glitch out on you as it changes. I don't know whether it's just my video transmitter or whether they all do that. This is a new feature, and this is literally the first time I've tried it. Well, there you go. Now you've seen how it works. The only question is, how do you turn it on? And it's not complicated. It's a simple command line option. So here in the command line, I'm just going to type get vTX. And that's a really helpful technique for if you kind of don't remember the exact syntax of a command, just type get and any part of the command that you can actually remember. And we can see right here is vTX underscore low power disarm. And you can see in my case, it's on. Yours will be off. The default is off. I'm just going to type set vTX low power disarm equals on. The other command line options that you see here, like vTX band, vTX channel, and vTX power, you can actually use those to, I think you must be able to use those to set the vTX parameters from the command line if like you didn't have an on-screen display or a Lua script or some other way of doing it. Yeah, I guess that's what that's for. The other thing you see here that you might be interested in is vTX pit mode freak. And what that relates to is a similar but slightly different function. So here in the modes tab, if I scroll all the way down to the bottom, you'll see there's vTX pit mode. And if you set up this mode and activate it, like with an aux switch or something, I've got a video on how to set up flight modes. I'll put a link to it in the upper right. If you activate this mode, well, the way it was originally going to work is that the video transmitter would go into pit mode. Pit mode is a mode, I believe TBS Unify was the first to have it, where the video transmitter goes to a very, very low output power, like 0.1 milliwatts. And the range of the video transmitter goes down to something like 10 feet. And the idea is that at a race, if you want to plug in your quadcopter, but you don't want to blast people out of the air, you can have your video transmitter turn on in pit mode. And then, well, you still shouldn't do it, but it helps a little bit. I don't know. So the idea here is that you can put pit mode on a switch, but there's a problem. The TBS Unify can power up in pit mode, and it can be taken out of pit mode using smart audio, but it will not go back into pit mode without power cycling it again. So the promise that you would just flip pit mode on and off by just flipping a switch, the Unify can't do that. I'm pretty sure that the Immersion RC Tramp can do that, and I don't really know about other video transmitters that support pit mode. So the devs changed it a little bit. They said, well, look, if everybody can't support it, then we're going to just change it. And what they do instead of going to like a low transmit power is they put the video transmitter on a different frequency. And the idea here is that you're going to pick some crazy out-of-the-way frequency that nobody else is using. And then when you're disarmed, you'll be on that frequency, or rather when you're in this pit mode, you'll be on that frequency. And when then you turn the mode off, you go to your normal frequency. This one is not quite as good. I don't know, because the problem is, like, you could just set something like 5300 megahertz if your video transmitter supports low band, and nobody's going to be down at 5300 megahertz at a race, but that's actually illegal to be out. And if you're on one of the legal frequencies, it's probably also a frequency that people at the event are using. So I'm not sure that I love this one, but there it is if you decide you want to use that instead. That's going to do it for this video. Quick video, cool feature, easy to turn on. Not a lot of like configuration or any fancy stuff. Just turn it on, leave it on, never think about it again. I love it. And yeah, I'm going to have it turned on all my quads. I've been asking for this feature for months. Like ever since smart audio became a thing, I've been like, can we please have pit mode on a switch? Can I please be able to turn my transmitter down? You know, for those of you who are still with me, who haven't tuned out, you know, some people ask, what if the transmitter could change output power based on like the RSSI? So as the quadcopter gets further away, it would turn up the video transmitter output power. I'm not actually sure. I don't know about that. Will that even work? Like when you turn the video transmit power up, is there any kind of like interruption? I don't know. Could that even work? Well, it doesn't work that way today, but if you're thinking about that idea, other people have thought about it too. And hey, maybe that's something we'll see in the future. That's going to do it for this video. Thank you guys so much. I am looking forward to covering more of the super cool new features of Betaflight 3.3. In fact, this exact quad, ooh, what's this? With Crossfire on it. I'm going to fly this tomorrow, and I'm going to be testing out the new filters and maybe working on a video for you guys, even though we're not to final release yet, because I know you guys want it so much. I know. So that's going to do it. Thanks for watching. Happy flying.